Perfect. Can you see that? Perfect. I'm going to monitor the waiting room here, but we don't want to waste anyone else's time. I know we're mindful of your time, so we will get things started here. My name is Heather Blair. We have Heather Demers and Tara Carlisle on the call as well tonight, and we're just going to be talking about what it is to be a coach, what coaching is, how we each got started, and kind of breaking down some of the common questions and hesitations and ones that we had as well as getting started.
Heather, you want to start
Go ahead.
actually?
I saw you unmute yourself, so I was like, oh, go ahead.
Okay, you want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. So my name, thank you for pronouncing my last name correctly. So nice of you. My name is
Practice.
And I started, Sully.
Sorry, I can't mute.
It's fine. I started coaching a little over 3 years ago. I wanted nothing to do with the business. I thought it was absolutely below me. Like I thought I was above a job like this. I thought the most negative things about a business like this, and I wanted nothing to do with it. And so that was kind of going on. My own personal health and fitness journey was, I didn't have one. And was the turning point for me was really when I got my pictures back from our wedding. After a 1.5 year engagement, I couldn't stick with the program to save my life. And when I got those pictures back, it really hit me like, am I going to keep living my life like this and being unhappy with myself and what I look like and how I feel? Or am I going to actually make a change? And I saw someone's transformation. She's now my coach, on Instagram one night. And I reached out to her, didn't know if she was going to respond to me or not, kind of hoped that she didn't so that I wouldn't have to start, I think. And I ended up starting in her group. And for the first time ever, I stayed consistent with it and was actually working out and eating better. I was planning on just doing it and then quitting before we went on vacation, because my whole thing was I just wanted to lose some weight for this vacation we had. And I ended up working out on vacation, which was unheard of for me. Like that would have never happened. And so I started kind of sharing my journey just naturally on social media, and that was kind of helping me stay consistent too. And then she was hosting a coach info session like this. And that's why we all feel so passionately about these, because it really helped us all get started and learn more about the business. But I showed up thinking there's no way I'm ever going to do something like this, but sure, I'll learn more about it all. And at the time I was in a terrible job, hating my life, miserable, struggling to find, like as a mill spouse, we travel all the time. So it was really difficult for me to try to like grow my career, but also have to stop and start over from scratch every time we moved, and having to just like serve or bartend. Like I wanted to work and make an impact financially for us and not leave everything on Nathan's shoulders, my husband, but I just couldn't find my thing. So all that's kind of happening. I have this journey that's like helping me stay consistent, and I show up on the sneak peek, and that was really, I was like, okay, I'm all in. From no, I'll never do this in my life, you couldn't pay me to do it, to sure, I'm going to quit my job and go into this full time. And can't imagine doing anything else now. It's the best. So that's a little bit of my story.
Okay, I can go next. I'm Tara Carlisle. I am a coach. I've been a coach. Really, Heather and I started about the same time. So 2019. I'm a 2-star diving coach, and I'm also a full-time employee at a hospital. I'm an executive at a hospital. And so I anywhere, and work in little pockets of time. And so you really can make it a full-time business if you wanted to, even if you have a full-time job. That to start, but my story is a little bit different. I was like that coach's dream that was already a coach basically, and didn't realize that I was coaching because I had my entire life struggled with health and fitness, and I just was on yo-yo diets. I was bulimic, I was anorexic, I was all the things. And finally I was like, I'm just so tired of this. Like, I'm feeling this way. I want to do something different. And my best friend had recommended the 21 Day Fix, which is a program within Beachbody. And I was like, you know what? I want to do this for myself because number one, I was going through infertility and I wanted to be the healthiest that I could be. We had already had our daughter through IVF. And so I was postpartum as well. And when I say postpartum, I was 3 years postpartum and still hadn't lost the baby weight and just felt miserable. And so leaned into it. And when I say I fell in love, I legitimately fell in love, like became obsessed with it. And it was one of those things where I was like, you never feel like you're selling because you love it so much. Like, you're like, you just want other people to feel the way that you feel. So I was telling people all about it. I had started my own groups. I was helping people get started. Oh, wow. That was doing some weird echoing. Okay. So anyways, I was helping people get started. And then my coach, who is also Heather's coach, moved to my town. And I said, okay, well, let's hear about this, because the amount of money that she was making, I was like, this is just insane. Like, how could we not be interested in this when I'm already doing it? And I was also going through infertility, and we had just had a failed IVF cycle, and we were $25,000 in debt. And I said, okay, well, what are we going to do? So we proceeded, signed up. My husband that night was like, what is the worst thing that could happen? Why are you so scared? What could go wrong? And, the worst, I wouldn't make any money. The best, I could change my life. And so started that day and have never looked back. And honestly, it has been, obviously insert income disclaimer, but it has been the thing that has helped me pay for my IVF over the years. I have not touched any of my coaching money. It goes into a savings account specifically for IVF. And since I started, we've done 3 rounds and we are finally pregnant, but we've done 3 rounds of IVF. And so as you can attest, that is a lot of money that I've had to spend on that. So all of that has gone through coaching. So that's my story.
I love that so much. I'm just so excited for this little babe. But I am Heather Blair, and it's so crazy because there's so many similarities amongst all of our stories. We relatively all started at the same time. I also started in 2019, but there's also so many differences. So prior to 2019, when I decided to finally jump in as a coach, I was a challenger years ago. And the world's worst challenger is what I always say, because I didn't even make it 2 weeks into the program that I was doing. I was like jumping on to show my sweaty selfies because I couldn't let anybody down, when really all I was doing was letting myself down. And I failed that miserably. And I was just not somebody who worked out. I am never somebody who, I would go to a gym, but I would pay for a gym membership and never actually use it. Right. I didn't know what I would do when I got there. I just kind of awkwardly stood there and go on the elliptical. And I was just not somebody, it was not ever an outlet for me. I didn't understand people who worked out every day. I thought I was just different, that they had this different mindset than I did. But fast forward, and I am originally from New York. I live down in North Carolina now. I had moved down here for my then boyfriend. Thankfully, it all worked out. We are married now, but it was I moved 500 miles away from everything and everyone that I knew, and away from home. And as an adult, it is awkward making friends, right? It is the weirdest situation for me, at least as an introvert. And I didn't have anybody. So I was just out of college and I poured everything into my career. And I quickly started working 60 plus hours a week because I thought that's what you had to do. But I also didn't have anybody else telling me not to. I came home to an empty house because my now husband wasn't living with me yet. Fast forward to when he did move in, he was working nights and weekends, crazy hours. We're kind of like ships passing in the night. And I just continued working those hours and running myself into the ground. And we got engaged, we got married, and it should have been one of the happiest times of my life. And it was one of the lowest points of my life because I had put myself not even on the back burner, well beyond the back burner. And I wasn't taking care of myself. I was putting everybody else's needs before my own. planning our wedding, our honeymoon, looking for our first home together, still working. At that point, it was probably more like 70 hours a week. And I was burnt out. I didn't know who I was anymore. I no longer recognized myself in the mirror. I lost my confidence, my purpose, my light, all of those things. And I knew something needed to change. So I saw my now coach, all of our coaches, her transformation. And I saw myself in her before picture. We have a very different story, but I saw how kind of lost and hopeless she was. And I saw her after photo of how happy she was, the community that surrounded her, the support that she had. And that's what I wanted. And so I jumped on her coach info sessions. They were 3 days long back then. I did it twice because I wasn't sure. I was so on the fence. And I watched both of them from bed next to my husband in the dark, as basically I could barely hear her because I didn't want him to hear, because I was embarrassed. I didn't know what he was going to think. I didn't want him to judge me, let alone everyone else judging me. And I was terrified. So when I finally brought it up to him, similar to Tara, he goes, "What's the worst that can happen? You're finally going to start taking care of yourself," because he was somebody who was always into the gym. He worked out, he did all of those things, and it was just not my jam. And so he's like, "What's the worst that can happen? You finally take care of yourself. You find your confidence, you find your happiness again, like go for it." So with his kind of approval, not that I needed it, I jumped in, and I'm now that person. Like Heather said, I work out every single day because I want to. It makes me feel better. I found my light again. I have found my confidence. I'm a completely different person because I've decided to do coaching. And I honestly don't know where I would be today if it weren't for coaching and the community and the support that it's given me through these past 3+ years.
Okay, I'm going to talk about what a coach does. Like, what do we actually do? I think before starting, another reason why I didn't think I'd be good at this is because I thought I needed to have all of this experience with health and fitness. And I, like I told you, was a hot mess. And I was like allergic to the gym, knew nothing about any of this, and realized that as a coach, we don't train the workouts. We don't, like, I'm not putting together nutritional resources, things like that. Like, I am here to help you stay consistent on your health and fitness journey and help you stay accountable and encourage you on this journey. The platform, like, everything's already created for you. The workouts, the trainers, like, I rely on the experts. Like, I don't have a nutritional degree or anything like that. I rely on, which is amazing because we just have these like incredible trainers that put everything together for us. So what you do as a coach, first and foremost, and you're going to hear this, like I still hear it to this day, is your number one job is to work on yourself, which is really cool because what job tells you that you're the most important thing, right? So when all else is going crazy and all over the place, if I just show up for myself, get my workout in, follow my meal plan, do the things, read my personal development, I know that I'm successful with my business that day because I'm taking care of myself. You can't expect to grow a business and encourage and help other women if you're not doing the things for yourself. So work on becoming your best self, be a product of the product, obviously use the things that we have. Like, I tell the example, like if you went into a Ford dealership and the salesperson was talking up this Ford car, was all excited about selling you this Ford, and you're like, oh, okay, like, do you drive this also? And if they were like, oh, I would never drive a Ford, I drive whatever, Mazda, right? You'd be like, okay. So some people ask, can I still be successful if I don't use the products that you have, or if I do my own workouts? And I'm like, just don't do this, like, choose something else, right? You have to actually live and breathe these programs and products in order to help other people with them, right? And I think as I got started, I realized they were changing my life. And so that's all I wanted to talk about, is how these products and programs are changing my life. Help others find what you found. So obviously, as you're doing it, start sharing that publicly through social media. Another question that we get is, can you be successful not sharing on social media? And unless you want to knock on doors and host parties at your house, I don't know what else you would do. I feel like social media is the fastest way right now to build your brand and grow your business. So I think you absolutely have to be active on social media. And that's something that we talk about within our mentorships and trainings too, is how to do that. Especially, like, I know for me, I started with 700 followers. I think Heather started with like 300. You start from scratch. Everybody starts from scratch and you just start building and sharing. And at first, I know Heather talks about like it took her like 6 months to like talk on her stories. And for me too, like I was so nervous, and I can't shut us up. Like we just love to get on there and share because we know the power of sharing and how it can help other people. So I think that's a cool mindset shift to have, is when you do think about social media and sharing your journey, is making it about other people and stop making it about yourself. Stop making it about, I'm nervous about what people are going to think. I'm nervous about the opinions of others, all those limiting beliefs, and start making it about the women that you're going to help. Commit to helping 3 people a month. This is just the minimum goal that we set for our team to help you do a few different things. One, you're going to hit a goal called Success Club, but in the Beachbody world, you hitting that will earn you trips and free tickets to things. So that's a minimum goal to achieve that. And then also it's going to consistently have you growing your business to set that goal of 3 people a month. And then it also will help you pay for your product. So we'll talk about financially, like what this costs you. Like when I went to my husband, I was like, hey, I'm going to start coaching. He's like, what's this going to cost us? I said, nothing, because I had already signed up. I was already signed up, doing the programs, drinking my shake every month. That's what it cost for you to just do your journey. And so on top of that, when I was like, oh, and I have this goal, I'm going to help 3 people every month, and I'm going to hit that every month. That's going to in turn not only pay for my product that I'm already having, but also make an income. And then consistently show up is so important. I think a big reason why this business can be so difficult is because you have to put yourself first and consistently do that every day. And as women, we don't like to do that. We like to put ourselves on the back burner and take care of everybody else but us. And so when we talk about the hard seasons with this, I truly believe it's because, and this business is one of the hardest things I've ever done, because I have to show up for myself and I have to put in the work mentally, physically for myself in order for me to build a successful business. And that's hard. It's hard to stay consistent. But best thing I could have done is tying my income and my business success to my health and fitness journey. Because you betcha I want to show up every day, because I know I have to. People are counting on me, and my business counts on me to do that, right?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about common hesitations. And I feel like this is always a good one for me, because I was the person, and I think we all are guilty of this. And honestly, the world that we live in, we are busy all the time. I mean, that is just, it's like go, go, go. And everything else makes it feel like you just are just going all the time. Well, I do work full time. I have always been very driven in my career. I love working at the hospital. I love what I do. I'm an executive there. I've worked my butt off to get to where I am. But at the same time, I found this avenue and this outlet that made me so passionate and so excited for what I was doing. And I started to see the possibilities and the limitless possibilities that come with this business. And so I finally leaned into that. But one of the biggest things that I had at the beginning was, I'm so busy. Like, how in the world could I possibly run a business? There's no way I could be like these top coaches who are making it big, who are influencing and doing all of these things, because I'm a busy mom. Well, here's the thing. You can work this business from anywhere. I alluded to that earlier, but truly, you work in pockets of time. And if you want it bad enough, if you have a dream big enough, and that's one of the things I like you to think about while we're sitting here and we're going through this call. What is a dream that you feel like is unattainable? Or what is just a big goal for you? Is it to pay for IVF? Is it to pay for, a portion of your mortgage? What is your dream? For me, it started with IVF, but now it's, I want to buy that beach house that I've dreamed of having for so many years. And I'm realizing it's achievable, but you got to work hard, without a doubt, you got to put in the work, but we can teach you. And that's what we do when we do these mentorships. We teach you how to put in the most useful time in the pockets of time that you have. So I wake up early, an hour early. I work then. I work a couple of hours at night sometimes. Some nights I don't work as much, except showing up on social media. It really just depends on what your schedule looks like, but you can be successful. If I can be successful, you can be successful. So, those are some of the things. I'm not inspiring. I was terrified to show up on my stories. I definitely was not talking about infertility at the beginning of that. And that is my entire platform now. People just want to hear about it and want to know about it. And opening up and talking about something that's so private, I was terrified. But now I'm like blown away by how many people are just so thankful and so vested in our lives, but also because it helps them, because they're scared. They're going through something different or something similar. So, that's one of the things. And then I'm not in shape. I think one of the best stories, she's not on this call, but another coach who I love, Taylor, she started her coaching business day one of her fitness business. And so I think that's so relatable because everybody was watching her succeed and do it all from day one, and she grew. And you grow in your social media, you learn how to do things. None of us are great at the beginning. We figure it out because we have these amazing women who are building you up and who genuinely, it's like there's no competition. They genuinely want you to succeed, and they're helping you with every little aspect of every little thing. So I never want you to feel like you're going to be alone and not available to have people to help you. And I think one of the biggest things, though, and my number one that I always tell people, is that I was terrified. I was scared of what people think. And you've heard us all say this. But now, looking back again, my husband said it. He was like, what is the worst thing that could happen? I kept thinking, well, I'm an executive in healthcare, or I'm a leader in healthcare. Like, what's my team going to think? And at the end of the day, I'm helping people feel better. They're taking care of their health and wellness. How could that be looked down upon when you're truly just helping people? And I forgot to mention this earlier, but I did have a transformation myself as well. I have lost 40 pounds and I have kept it off for 5 years. I just saw that for the first time. And this is the only time in my life that I've ever been consistent in something. And I guarantee you, I wouldn't have been as consistent had I not been coaching, because it really pushes you to be consistent in motivation. So I think those are the biggest hesitations, and we'll talk a little bit more a little later as well.
And kind of continuing on that, like Tara said, I mean, we all have our hesitations before starting, right? So none of these that we're saying are things that we didn't have ourselves before we jumped into this, right? Naturally, we're just hesitant, right? As humans, we're in our nature. But if you step out of that comfort zone, so much goodness can come from that, but you have to be willing to take that kind of first step. So I know that as I was working 70 plus hours a week, I was worried about how much time this was going to add on to my workday. I was already kind of at my limit of how I was going to do that. And Tara already talked about this. It's whatever works with your schedule. And during our mentorship, like she said, we will kind of help you see what fits into your schedule. What your goals are also will depend how much time you want to put into this business. If you've got some really big, lofty goals, which I hope you do, you have to know that that's going to take a little bit more time out of your day than if you just kind of want to do this as a hobby, which there's nothing wrong with, but you kind of need to be honest with yourself of what your end goal is. And that time is going to reflect into that. Thinking this is a pyramid scheme. I love when Heather talks about this because she goes, I thought it was a pyramid scheme. And so I myself included, didn't know what a pyramid scheme actually was, but come to find out that's actually illegal. So Beachbody would not be around almost 25 years later if it was a pyramid scheme. They just went public, I think last year. My years are all mixed up, but I think it was last year. So everything's out in the open. You can Google our compensation plan. You can Google everything and it's out there. If this was a pyramid scheme, that wouldn't be possible, right? The cost to start your own business, Heather mentioned this earlier, it's what you're consuming anyway. So I'll kind of get into the actual logistics, but no matter if you're starting as a customer, a preferred customer, as a coach, it's all costing the same exact as if you were just to start as a regular customer, like I said. What if I fail? All three of us have failed at some point in these 3+ years. And I think that you can't be successful unless you do fail a little bit, right? I always say you kind of fail forward, you kind of learn along the way, but there are goals that each of us have set that we didn't maybe hit along the way, and that's okay. No, there's no one way of doing this, right? Coaching is really customized, which kind of makes it unique in itself, but you can do this and run your business however you want it to. But with that comes lessons, comes hard times, and you kind of learn through that with some messy action along the way. And then the spouse perspective. This is one of my favorite things to talk about because my time with my husband is very limited. I know Heather's is, I know Tara's got a busy schedule. And so we have to kind of be intentional with our time and having those communications and those kind of conversations and managing each other's expectations. I know that for me, Sundays, I don't get necessarily as much coaching work done because that's really my one and only day that I have with Brian. I mean, unless he's out golfing, that's usually when I take up my time, right? But for me, he works on Saturdays. So I get a bulk of my work done on Saturdays because I don't have to also work. So it's kind of figuring out what that looks like for you. But a big conversation that we had when I got started was all the time that I'm spending on my phone, and they don't really understand it, right? We as women, I feel like our social media is very much influencers, and we see people on their phone and doing all this all the time. Guys have a very different social media than we do, and they don't understand if we're sitting there on our phone that we're actually working. But that means you have to be working. You can't just be scrolling TikTok, scrolling Instagram, because yeah, then they have a right to kind of be upset about you being on your phone all the time. So being intentional, but really just having those conversations and working through and talking through what works best for you guys.
Yay, I get to talk about this this time. Do you actually make life-changing income? We've kind of thrown around some income things on this call already. And I have to say, Team Beach, the income disclaimer, Team Beachbody does not guarantee any level of success or income from the Team Beachbody coach opportunity. It depends on your own efforts, diligence, and skill. Basically, this is not just like your health and fitness journey. When we want it quick, it's not a get rich quick kind of thing. And we always want things to happen so much faster. And I know for sure I've gone through seasons in this business where I'm like, why isn't it happening faster? But I'm grateful for the journey, just like I'm grateful that it took as long as it did health and fitness wise like I did a before and after today versus 3 years ago coming to Hawaii. And I know that I physically feel and look very different, but that was 3 years. But I would not have the mental change if it didn't take me 3 years, right? And I think that's very similar with this business, like staying consistent and really putting in the work and the grind, like it makes it that much sweeter when things do start happening. Cause you're like, oh, I put it like, it's just entrepreneurship. It's just amazing. It's such a good feeling. But you'll see on here, we don't have any income amount because truthfully, life-changing can mean different things for different people, right? Like if I said, okay, you could come in, work this business, make a couple $100 extra a week, that could be life-changing for someone. Right? Or if I said, hey, I think of some women that were able to not work as many days at the salon and be at home, or not pick up so many serving shifts and be home with family, or take care of kids or take them out of daycare or whatever, that could be life-changing for them. So it really different things for different people. What I will say is similar to how Tara felt. I had very big goals for myself getting out of college with my career, going through my MBA. I'm like, I have big freaking goals, like financial goals. And I really wanted to like climb that corporate ladder and do the whole thing and make all this money and just be that support for our family. And like I said, not rely solely on Nathan for his income. And when I saw not just the potential, but what my peers were doing within this business, my coach, her coach, other successful coaches in the business who had been in it 5, 6, 7 years, it completely blew my dreams out of the water. Okay. So when I saw that, I was like, what the heck am I doing? Like I'm working like away, miserable, going to this job every day that I don't care about. That sounds bad, but like I had no passion for it. It's just making me unhappy. It's sucking the life out of me. And I see these women that they're living their best life and they're taking care of themselves and helping other people. And they're blowing my dreams out of the water, like just mind blowing. So as far as like how you actually make an income. I'm not going to get into like the crazy details because can get kind of confusing. And we talk about that like in our mentorship and explain, we have trainings on that too, but basically 3 different ways. One, you're making it through commission. So everyone that you sign up, you'll make a commission from that. We also have what's called team cycle bonuses. So as you start rank advancing, which you could do with it, like the first rank we usually push for within 24 hours of you becoming a coach. So as you start rank advancing in your business, you make team cycle bonuses, which is basically Beachbody paying you a percentage based on your rank and like how big your team is. And then we also have quarterly bonuses. So again, as you start increasing and growing your team, Beachbody has a percentage that they'll give out based on their sales, based on your rank and things like that. So really 3 different ways they're going to make an income.
We kind of talked about this earlier, and I know we've said it a few times on this call, but there are a few different enrollment options. It doesn't matter, again, if you are a customer, a preferred customer, or a coach, none of it matters. It's all going to be the same cost. If you already have access to BOD, meaning you have access to the workouts and all of that, there is just a little bit different. So you're not repaying, right, for that because you already have access to that as it is. So whatever it looks like, if you don't have BOD already and you're a brand new customer, challenger, whatever you want to be, just reach out to the coach that invited you onto this and we can make sure that we're getting you signed up with the best possible way. But know that the total solution pack is what gets you a $20 way or $20 off this month, sorry, and then it waives your coach sign up fee. If you are a military spouse, I don't know all the logistics because I am not one, but I do know that there is a waiver that there is with a coach or preferred customer. There's a $15 or $16 monthly fee. It's kind of like a Costco membership, just to keep yourself active. And so if you're a military spouse, there is a form that you can waive that fee with it. But like I said, coach, customer, all going to be the same cost. Just talk to your coach that invited you tonight and we can make sure we get you the right pack and solution for you.
Okay, so we want to be very conscious of your guys' time and want to keep it as short as possible. So we're going to wrap it up by saying, I think the biggest thing I want you to remember is that the people that invited you to this coaching call, we are entrepreneurs. We are women who are dreaming really big. And I say that because I want you to know there are a lot of different coaches out there. There are so many coaches and we all have different dreams, visions, and what we want to do. But I think what's unique about the 3 of us is that we specifically are looking at all avenues of our business. And so when I say the possibility is endless, I mean, that is something I truly mean, because when I look at healthcare, for example, and having a job in healthcare, there is a top, like you can top out, and I'm going to top out, pretty quickly. So, and when Heather mentioned it earlier, she said like it blew it out of the water. And so, I mean, when I say that it truly does, I mean, it would far blow out what I've been doing at the hospital. And I've worked my entire career for this. And so, and it's not just that. So I say coaching, right? There's coaching here. But when you open up the door for coaching, you open up the door for many other things. Being a digital creator and influencer, it opens up so many more other possibilities. And so that is something that we try to build and focus on you as a whole as well, because it's like, why wouldn't you try to monopolize on everything that has been gifted to you with this business? So, like, for example, I've now signed with an agency and their job is to help get me deals. I can also do that on my own though. Like I'm constantly doing that, reaching out to businesses and companies. I'm like, hey, I would love to work with you. And then they pay you just to post a picture or to do a reel. I mean, it's insane. I mean, some, like this is just an example, but my most recent one was $400 just to post a photo. And I'm not even as big an influencer as there are out there. I know that other influencers are making thousands of dollars just on stories, stories, reels, TikTok. So I want you to be thinking about that, is that when you find a coach who, and like us, we want to open up all of the doors for you. We want to be that for you and help you dream bigger than you've ever dreamed. So I want you to leave with that, is be thinking about what that is. What is the one dream that you've had or something that you've been praying for or been working towards? What is it? Think about it and put that into what coaching could do for your life. And please let us know. I mean, get back with the person who invited you. Let us know what your dream is. What are you pushing for, so that we can help you and help you find that vision and get you along the way, and then get you into that mentorship. I saw Heather dropped it in the chat. June 20th, I believe, was the date. So let us know, but we will literally walk you through every single moment. And we hope that this has been informative for you. We did record it though. So if you guys are needing to go back and check something, or you have questions, please let the coach know who invited you to this. And I believe that wraps up our call. Have a great night, ladies. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Do you want to stop recording, Heather? And then if anybody has any questions, we can kind of chat.
I don't have any questions.